How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Dead Jester Productions podcast, episode number 203. I'm your host, Joshua J. Moskers, joined this week by special guest, YouTuber Boystick. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, no problem, buddy. Happy to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you here. Why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself, what you do, what you got going on?
Well, right now I am a YouTuber, as he said. I'm a commentator YouTuber that just kind of picks random videos or talks about the biggest YouTube drama that's going on. And I feel like over the years my content has became more tame. If you go back to my older videos, I was way more of a savage on the content that I made fun of. Kind of calmed down nowadays, but I am a commentator for right now. I do have a podcast that's on hiatus. It's been on hiatus for about a year, called the Honestly Lazy Podcast. And as for right now, that podcast is going to stay on hiatus. I am more focused on the commentary side of things now. I don't know what it is. They're more fun to do, and for some reason they're less to edit, and I can't explain how the editing is easier on a commentary video than a podcast video.
It's like a short form podcast almost when you think about it.
Yeah, they can be. I was really doing the research for a while there of like when I did Honestly Lazy, it started out with a buddy of mine and I trying to figure out what we were going to do content of. My buddy Craig St. Clair and I were making content, and we had a few episodes, and life just kind of happened. Craig had to go his own way, and I had to go my own way. And it's not like we hate each other. We still always stay in touch and shoot the shit. I actually work with him right now, and yeah, it was just like Honestly Lazy was such a perfect name. I just always loved the name. So I went on a good grind. I forget how many episodes I'm at. I think I'm at like almost 80 episodes or something like that of the podcast. I think my biggest mistake was I was focusing more on the YouTube side of it and like getting views on YouTube. And in all reality, as a small YouTuber, or a small time podcast, I should have been focusing on the Spotify side of things instead of YouTube. That's where I feel like I kind of blew it. But I like I say, I'm not sure what to do with it yet, but I do have a channel called with the Honestly Lazy podcast on it. You can check that out. But everyone's been asking me when it's coming back out, and as of right now, it's on pause.
Nice. Yeah, it happens. Like I said, this is my fourth podcast. Like I have some that we did like test episodes and things like that for that we didn't actually end up putting much forward.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But yeah, I think total episode counts, I'm like including this show, I think I've probably done like 800 or 900 podcast episodes.
Oh crap, so you're almost at 1,000.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this show we just broke 200. We're at 203 here.
How long have you been doing this show for?
It'll be 4 years in January.
Damn, so, man. Has the time just flown for you or what?
It's been interesting. It's been a ton of fun. I mean, I think time flies just because of the, I've been enjoying the content, but also just life in general has been flying along because I've been busy as shit. There's so many different things. So I don't know. I don't know how old you are. I'm 29, but
I'm 28.
Okay. Yeah. I don't like the last few years for me post like COVID in particular, it has been like nonstop. Like I work, come home. I work on like Dead Jester Productions. I do like all the side gigs, behind the scenes stuff, content creators and things like that. And then I go to bed and I get up and do it again the next day. And
yeah, for me, COVID, I was one of the lucky ones. I was a factory worker during COVID. I never got shut down. I worked throughout all COVID, and it was actually during COVID because you couldn't go out to bars or you couldn't do jack shit. That's when I really started grinding out the podcast again. I think that's when it happened. I was living in this shithole of a house with my brother and my buddy, and it was just partying and then it was like partying, and then throughout the week I would record a podcast, and then the weekend party again. It was very messed up routine for me. Once I met my now fiance, I moved very far away from that house, and I was really focused on that podcast. And then it was just one day I lost my motivation, and I just disappeared. Like, people were asking me, like, a lot of my buddies and stuff listen to podcasts, and they were like when's the next episode coming out? And it was just, it killed me and tell them, like, I have nothing else to talk about, because I wasn't like, where I screwed up also with the podcasting is it was only me. I always just sat, it was like a Bill Burr type podcast by myself talking.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, it's getting old, you need to get people on. But I was like, who am I going to have on? Like, I'm like, I met you through Reddit, and I actually put my own posts out looking for people, and no one messaged me. So I don't know what was up. Maybe it could have been a mental thing. Maybe I was just done with it. I was working a lot, but like I say, it was just the podcast had the end. So it's just nuts.
Yeah, it happens. Like I said, I've done a number of podcasts. Just a lot of times, like you mentioned, you know, your friend and co-host and ever going your separate ways and having different ideas of what you wanted to do. That's happened to our show here. Like, my original co-host, they're no longer here. The one lasted 5 episodes maybe.
Wow.
And we made a running joke out of that for like the first 15 episodes, where every episode we would just joke about how he died, and just get more and more like gratuitous, like violence and just obscene. Like, I don't even remember everything we said, but yeah, it got out of hand, and we cut that bit off after a little while. It probably got old to listeners. But yeah, like, my other co-host, just, you know, he decided it wasn't for him anymore, and I was like, that's fine. Now I have a part-time co-host, and like I said, it is different if you have guests, because it keeps things fresh. You have a continuous stream of different perspectives coming in, as opposed to me just sitting here with my exact same ideas every week.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Everyone got sick of my opinions. Now I'm like, I'm sick of my own goddamn opinions.
Yeah, I mean, this show is different too. Like, some of our old, like the first podcast I did was gaming centric, like video game news. So we do like it'd be very like segment oriented, where it's like, all right, what are we playing right now? You know, what are we looking forward to? What like news is coming out? Like, it was a lot more organized than this show. And like I said, that was another like weekly show we released every Monday, and I think we did like 300 and some episodes of that.
Wow.
We did a side show where it was just an E3, like the Electronics Entertainment Expo.
Yeah.
We did like a specific like 2-hour long show for that every single year, where we would just do like a recap, and those were a ton of fun, because I'd get a lot of. We uploaded to YouTube, I think, that one. I don't remember how we hosted that even, but those would get quite a few views / listens. And,
yeah.
I would love that. And then again, we just kind of, like you were saying, we just kind of ran out of stuff to say, because there's only so much you can do to make a conversation interesting about, like, yeah, we're still playing games. Not a whole lot.
Still playing World of Warcraft and RuneScape.
Whatever. Yeah. It's just, we couldn't figure out ways to make it fresh anymore.
Right.
Everyone has like video game, like IGN, you know, essentially we were competing with IGN, not directly. They were obviously much larger than us, but it's just, people are going to go pay attention to IGN because they have a much higher budget than us, and they have insider information. So it's like, of course they're going to go to IGN rather than the two of us who are sitting there reading IGN news reports and regurgitating it.
It's funny that you say that, because I forget which video I did. So, like, for you, obviously, when it comes to you nowadays with this podcast and stuff, how much are you focused on those views? Like, do you have to have so many views to be happy with it, or do you just upload it, it's up, fuck it, on to the next one?
Yeah, I would say like half and half. Like, half of it is I like the like regimented scheduling of it. Like, it makes it so I have to keep focusing on getting a content out every week. I like having that sort of schedule. I mean, obviously, the recording schedule is not every single Sunday I record. I mean, I've recorded 7 episodes in the last week, because we're coming up on the holidays. So I want to make sure I get the content around, so I don't have to panic when, you know, Thanksgiving and Christmas come around and I don't have content.
Yeah.
So part of it is just I like having that sort of, you know, regiment and the scheduling about it. The other thing is, like I've mentioned on the show a number of times, like it's just a way for me to kind of vent and relax for roughly an hour, where I just get
Yeah,
to sit here, hang out, and chat with cool people, and it's. I mean, I've done it. So I've edited these so many times at this point that the editing process is also relaxing, sort of like Zen like, where I just go in, I know
nice.
exactly like what waveforms I'm looking for to edit out and things like that. So it's super simple.
Yeah,
So
because so what happened with me is, so like I said, I've been on and off YouTube since I was about 21 years old. I don't know
mhm.
if I said that was if I've said that yet or that was before we
Yeah,
started
yeah.
recording, but I've been on and off on YouTube on the Boystick channel since I was about 21 years old, and I forget how old I was. It was probably 23, 24. I got laid off from my job for
Mhm.
6 months, and I went on this like a huge grind. I mean,
Mhm.
like I was at like I think I was at 23 subscribers, and I was like, I'm going to grind this out, and all I was focused on was views and subscribers. So I was
Mhm.
posting all over Reddit, check out my video, Twitter, wherever I could post it. I was uploading, or wherever I could post it for people to see. I was like advertising the shit out of it,
Mhm.
and it came to a point where it would take me 8 hours of filming, reshooting, like audio glitches I had to fix. It turned onto a full time job,
Yeah.
and it killed it. It wasn't fun for me anymore to do the videos. It turned into like me just being on YouTube, like, oh, that's a video, and I'd watch it, and I'd be like, oh, fuck, I can really make fun of this, and just set up the camera, let's get into it and make a video. I would be waking up and trying to find a video. It almost was stressful. It was like I need to
Yeah.
get a video out for like I didn't even have an audience. I think I just hit 100 subs when it turned to this point.
Mhm.
So I don't know what happened with this year, but I just I, the first video I came back with was this stupid like minute long video of like um because I was on YouTube and there was all these videos of like how a tattoo actually feels getting, and they're like 10
Mhm.
minutes long to explain how a tattoo hurts.
Yeah.
Well, I just got my ninth tattoo last week,
Nice.
and I just laugh because I'm like, it doesn't take 10 minutes to describe how much it fucking sucks. The true answer is you're going to sit there if you want that bad. You're going to sit there and you're going to get it done.
Mhm.
So I made this like minute long video, edited, put intense music on it, and I got like 80 views on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's great. And then it was when Logan Paul and KSI were doing their boxing match, and
Mhm.
Dylan Dennis was going after Logan and stuff. There was just so much stuff that I would be at work and I'd be like, I could talk about this, and I would sit there and think, but it was like fun again. I was like,
Yeah.
holy shit! Like I'm thinking of all this stuff. I'm like, hell yeah, I want to talk about this tonight. And so the old mindset of I need to hit this many views, I need to do this, I need that. I threw that out the window when I came back. And I
Mhm.
mean, I remember it was one of the ones with Logan Paul. I think it was the one where Dylan exposed his girlfriend with a video. I didn't even look at the
Okay.
views
Yeah.
for about a couple days, but then I started getting emails about comments that were on the video. So I was like,
Mhm.
oh, people are actually listening. I was at like 1K views, which isn't a lot, but I'm like, holy shit. And so when I came back, I don't know, it was probably like a month or two ago, I was at 123 subscribers. I'm already at 204
Yeah.
since then. And I don't do 8 hours. I'll shoot like a 10-minute video, break it down. If I need to add something, I just record something quick. My process has gone quicker, and I've just been having so much fun. And on top of the fact that now, like when I was doing it back then, there was no reels, there was no shorts, and there was no TikTok. Now you
Mhm.
got all those, and I love making reels and shit. I find it funny as fuck to go through your 6 to 10 minute video and be like, where's the funniest part? And then break it down into 30. I try to do 30-second videos, and it's hilarious to me. So it's like, since I was like 23, really grinding, trying to like, oh, I always have to have a video, to now where it's just like, if I find something, I'll film it and just upload it, not really pay attention to it. It's it's brought back that like fun side of content creating that I've not had since I was like 21 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember I got started on YouTube. I think it was like 2007. I've been doing it for a long time on various channels, and I've been up, through that cycle of like enjoying it and then being like exhausted by it, back to like I'd get inspired by something like, oh, I could do that, and I'd get back into it. And I had the same thing happen, except on streaming, right? So I'll fast forward because people are tired of hearing me talk about it on the show here. But like during COVID, got furloughed, was home from like April until November of 2020, I guess it was. And I was like, all right, well, I need something to do all day. And my girlfriend was working, but she was working from home.
Yeah.
And so she would just be out in like the living room on her laptop or whatever. And I'd be in the office here and I'd stream on Twitch for like 8 or 9 hours a day, every single day. And I grinded that shit out. We were killing it. It took us like a week and we hit a Twitch affiliate, and I was like, nice. And then we hit Twitch partner in September.
Wow.
So I didn't even start streaming until I think the very beginning of June. So from June until I think it was actually October, we hit partner. In the course of like June to October, we hit affiliate and partner on Twitch. And I was like, this is awesome.
How much do you need to get that? Like views or followers or whatever?
I forget off the top of my head.
Damn, though.
I know it's an amalgamation of things. It's like average like viewers per stream.
Okay.
Let's try to look it up here real quick. 1,000 followers, 25 hours broadcasted in the past 30 days, 12 unique broadcasts, and 75 concurrent viewers on average. And we were well above the followers that the broadcast hours. I mean, it was, I forget, hundreds of hours because it was like 8 to 9 hours a day, except for like Sundays. So, I mean, it's like 160 hours over that time period instead over the 125 required. So
did you just do the like when you were playing, did you have a webcam on you or anything?
Yeah. I have like a professional setup here because
nice.
I do like marketing for a living. So like part of it is getting like B-roll photos and fitted like stock footage and photos and things like that sometimes. And obviously I do the podcast. So I've had, my office here is somewhat soundproofed. I have a window, which is very difficult to soundproof.
I know. I got one of those too.
I handmade like an insert that sits into the window on the little hooks that would hold the curtain rod. So I pick it up, set it in, and it fits into the window. And there's foam around the edges that seals it in, and there's foam panels across it.
It's funny that you bring up it's funny you bring up the streaming part because I kind of want to do like streaming. Like honestly, lazy. I was like, maybe I could just do a stream where it's like, just hanging out in the studio, treat it like a radio show or something. So, but I use a Canon 70D to film my stuff, and the battery doesn't last. So, what do you use for your video camera?
I just have an HD webcam that just plugs in via USB.
It's like really smooth, like no glitching or anything.
No, it's 4K Logitech. I don't know what the model is, but yeah, it's just a Logitech webcam.
I'm gonna have to get one because I've been seeing there like I could start doing that. I sit there and look at something like Barstool, how they are always doing something. They're live streaming and
they have a much higher budget than I do. They have $1 million budget at least.
I'm not saying.
Yeah, they probably do use DSLRs of some sort, but they just plug it in. I imagine they just have it connected to extension cords. Even I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
and that's connected. Yeah, I mean, I could. I have. I mean, if I turn around, I have like 7, 8 cameras on the shelf behind me.
Holy!
I have my closet behind me is all my like film equipment. So I've got a couple of DSLRs in there. I've got like 7 GoPros, including, and then I have a couple like 2 or 3 little like cheap knockoff ones I bought that I use whenever I want to like film something that the camera's a high probability of getting ruined.
Send me some cameras then, buddy. If you got that many, come on, you can send a couple to Canada.
I use them, the GoPros, at least on a daily basis almost.
Oh,
There's a company I work with that does a lot of like furniture making. They use conversion varnish spray. This is not going to
okay.
be interesting to anybody, but what happens is I take these really cheap cameras. They're like, I just buy them off Amazon. It's been a while since I bought them because fortunately they haven't been ruined yet. But I think they're like $50 roughly, and I just take them, set them down in there, and they just spray over them. Like I will set the fake GoPro down next to whatever it is they're spraying, and they just spray over whatever the product is they're making, whether it's like a table or something. And
Did you go to school for film?
no, I I went to school for computer science, and I don't use that at all.
It's funny because I went to school for video production and I have
Mm,
no work in that. I've actually been thinking about trying to get some work in it.
mm. Yeah,
That's funny.
it's interesting. Like when I first finished school, I preached to people. I'm like, school's not worth it. It's a waste of time and money. And to even now, to an extent, I still kind of feel that way. But I think the best value you get out of like going to school is connections.
Yeah.
Like I think that's where the value actually is if you're willing to like put the effort into making those connections, whether
Oh
it be
yeah.
through the people you go to school with or internships and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But for me, like I said, like I I guess I do technically use computer science a little bit with like website design and somewhat of the coding, but even then, I use like Chat GPT to generate lines of code if I need to. It's
Are you
easier than me.
serious?
Yeah, it's easier than me doing it myself.
Oh my
Um,
god.
so like, I don't use what I went to school for, like really at all. Everything else is self-taught. I taught myself how to edit, audio, video, you know, taught myself how to do like film techniques. And by taught myself, I mean like watch YouTube, do like I did use Masterclass. I don't know if you've heard of that. I
Yeah, I've
used that
thought about it.
briefly. I forget. I don't know if I bought like a yearly subscription. I don't remember how it worked. But I got a subscription for some amount of time, watched some stuff on there, and I was like, okay.
Hmm.
And yeah, same thing with my marketing skills is just self-taught and then just basically bullshitting my way into it and getting actual real world experience to fall back on then.
That's fucking. You did it proper, man. You bullshit. You faked it till you made it. That's how you have to
I,
do it nowadays.
I don't know if bullshitting my way into it is the proper way to explain it. I just applied for jobs I wasn't qualified for. And when I get there, explain, yeah, I'll figure it out essentially.
Yeah.
And I know my manager's like, I like that. And I was like, good, please give me money.
that was like me for a while there. I was thinking about going back to school for radio broadcasting, but
Mm,
my buddy who actually has a podcast right now, Quinn Marr, he just came back on he had this old podcast called Guys Being Dudes.
mm,
And it was like he was so into Nelk Boys and all them. He was trying to do like a
mm,
party podcast. Well, it went under. He shut it all down. He's like, Guys Being Dudes is officially like fucking dead.
yeah.
So he comes back and he's been interviewing like old childhood like stars and stuff. He had I don't know if you ever heard of this show, but it was a Canadian kids show, Big Comfy Couch. He had the main girl
Mm,
from there, which was like everybody in Canada when I was a kid fucking knew her. He just came back and it was like, it's not necessarily my cup of tea, but I listen to it and I support the fuck out of him because he supports the living shit out of what I do. He messages me like, keep up the grind. He's almost like my motivational speaker and
yeah.
pushes me to keep making content when I'm like, I got nothing to talk about. But he actually went to school for radio and he said the same thing. He's like, bro, don't go to school for radio. He's like,
Mm,
you have been making videos, you understand microphones. He's like, I could probably put you in front of a soundboard and you could figure it out in like 10 minutes. And I've worked factories, I've done construction. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. And I'm like, yeah, that stuff, I really need someone to show me stuff. But I'm like, man, when it came to a soundboard, I'm like, you're probably right. I could figure that out in 5 minutes and know
yeah.
what everything does.
That was part of the turnoff for me going to school was taking classes that I had no interest in and that I didn't feel had any real world value to me. Right.
Yeah.
Like I get that it's useful information to an extent, like some points, but like I don't use biology ever in my day-to-day life. And
I
if
took
it's something,
women's studies.
yeah, I practice women's studies.
Attaboy.
Uh, but yeah, like it, like if I need the information, I have the internet, right? And that was
God,
it's
yeah.
if it goes. I mean, that even goes back to high school when they tell you like you won't have a calculator on you all the time. It's like actually, I will.
Yeah, it's
So
called a phone now.
yeah, yeah. So like stuff like that like annoyed me to no end. Or it's like
Oh,
I don't think it might just been the age difference at the time, like between like the teachers and the students when I was in high school. But it's like, man, you really don't understand like how easily it is to get just any information I need in life. Like
oh,
there's
Christ.
preventing me
I
from using all the tools at my disposal is not teaching me skills. It's just hindering my ability to do this quicker.
I can honestly say that like high school is a joke. You don't learn. You're right. You don't learn anything that you actually need. I
Mm.
passed grade 12 because of an English teacher who literally was like, I didn't read a single book. I fucking hated reading books. And I told the teachers that I'm like, I don't want to read books. I'm like, I'd rather like, I liked writing lyrics. I'm like, I'll write lyrics and hand that in if that counts. And they're like, you have to read the book. You have to do this. My grade 12 English teacher's like, he passed me. Like I literally had like barely done any homework. I didn't read any of the books. And he, when it came to exam time, he came up to me, and I was the last one in the class trying to do this exam. And I was struggling. I was like, man, I just fucking failed your class. I gotta come back next year. He's like, write your phone number on your exam. So I did, and he
Mhm.
called me, and he's like, you passed. He's like, I gave you a 51. He was like, I know exactly where you come from, and I know your personality. He's like, you just want to go to work.
Mhm.
He's like, everything that I was teaching you this year, you don't need to fucking be a good worker. And all he said was, don't be an idiot with your life and go do something.
Yeah. I had the opposite experience with my English teacher my senior year. She wanted to fail me. I because I wouldn't do a particular essay at the end of the year. There's this essay I had like almost 100% in this class anyway, but
Yeah.
I was like I forget what the essay was even for. I have no memory of it. But I just remember she's like, I'm gonna fail you if you don't do this. I'm like, that's not how the grade works. And I was so mad. She called my mom and she's like, I'm gonna fail him if he doesn't do this essay. I'm like, I will just hand you a blank piece of paper and say it's my essay, and you can give me a 0 on it, and it won't affect my like my my grade really.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I was
stupid.
I it is so frustrating. It's like I understand like their job is to get kids through and like help them graduate because that's how the school gets funding. But this me doing this essay had no effect on anything whatsoever. And it was the exact opposite from my one Spanish teacher. I didn't show up to the final because I didn't need it. I could get a 0 on the final and still pass the class easily
Oh.
enough. And she just didn't count the final for me on my final grade. She's like, I've never had anyone do that. I was like, I don't need it though. She's like, I guess so. We ran we ran what happened was I had because we did like I forget I don't know how it is for everyone, but like we have 2 finals a day essentially. So we had like one earlier in the morning. We took like I think like a 15-minute break in between maybe or something. I don't remember exactly. And then we'd have the second class's final. And so I had the Spanish final first. So I just didn't come into class. I didn't go into school at all. And so I showed up for my second final. And then after that one, we ran into her at the gas station. And she's like, okay, well, it's been so nice. And gave me a hug and that was it. Perfectly fine. It's like that's
Yeah.
a way more reasonable approach. It's
How
like
many classes did you have in a day when you were in high school?
uh I I think we had 7 periods. It
Oh
was
my
weird
god.
because what would happen is our like fourth and fifth periods would overlap like the lunch like time periods.
Yeah.
So we would go to I remember my senior year or no, this is my junior senior year. I had chemistry. And so I'd go to my chemistry class and we'd have like normally our classes were like 50 minutes. We'd go to
Right.
chemistry for 30 minutes. The bell would ring. We'd take a break in like 5 minutes in between periods. And like some people would go to lunch and then we'd go back to chemistry for another like 45 minutes. So it was this super long period because it was dragged out because our lunch period was first. And so like we'd have lunch and then both of our sections of chemistry, whereas some people would have like English, go to lunch, and then have another shorter period of a different class. And it was just a really dumb setup.
Wow, I don't know if it's different. It could just be at my high school. Maybe it's Canada versus
Mm.
USA or
It's not
something.
like
But
that for everyone in the US. I know that for sure. Because I remember my
yeah,
girlfriend saying they'd have like 4 classes a day or
that's what
something
I
like that.
had. I had
Yeah.
4. You just went to a shitty school, man.
This was
Holy
bizarre.
7 periods.
That chemistry teacher in that class, uh, she was only there for like 2/3 of the year. She showed up. That was her first year there. They just hired her because the previous one had left to go somewhere else. I forget. So they hired her. She came in, and then a few months into the year, she started taking time off. I'm like, oh, that's weird. And she came back and was like, oh, I have cancer. I'm like, oh, that sucks. And
Holy
so,
shit.
so time goes by, and we're like a little over halfway into the year, and she has taken a ton of time off for her treatments.
Yeah, of
And I don't know
course.
how it works. I've never seen this happen in any other scenario, but I guess other teachers were like donating their sick time to her for her treatment because she'd used up all of her personal time and whatever. And
Oh,
I really have I've never seen that like donation of sick time in any other scenario. I have no idea how that functions. But
that's awesome
anyway,
though.
it is awesome. And then it turns out that she didn't have cancer and she had court dates that she was going to instead because she had gotten fired from her previous school because she was under investigation for sleeping with her student.
Dude, you had a pedophile as a teacher.
So I live in central Pennsylvania. Everyone knows Hershey candy, right? There's Hershey
Yeah,
Park down in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
yeah.
And she had, I don't remember how far away she was from there, but she had, I'm getting very close to doxing this woman. I got to watch because this is
Yeah,
very
be careful.
specific. But she had like met up with like some of her students, taking them down to Hershey. I think it was the park. I don't remember. And then she'd brought alcohol and like got them drunk and slept with them. And so she was
What?
under investigation for this. And the only reason it came out is I don't know who found it, but like some student had looked it up and like found like the court dockets for her.
Oh
And
my
we
god.
pulled it up in class and told the teacher of that class. And she's like, that's weird. And then I guess she gave that to like the principal or whatever and the superintendent probably. And I remember the one day we were leaving school and I would get picked up because I lived out in the middle of nowhere, like an hour from
Yeah.
school. And so my mom would come and drive us home because I couldn't drive yet at this point. And as we're leaving the parking lot, we see the teacher standing out there with the one principal, and she's like crying. It's like, oh, we just watched her get fired.
Yeah, that was your fault. Was she hot
No,
at least? I gotta ask.
no,
Was she
no,
hot?
she was not.
That's why she
No,
needed the alcohol, obviously.
yeah. Oh man,
Oh,
what a time.
God, that's nuts, man.
She was an interesting person. There was a whole bunch of stuff. She, like I said, she lied about the cancer and all everything like that. But she would like lie about like having like boyfriends or husband. I forget. And then the one day for I don't remember why, but she pulled up Facebook to like show us pictures of like some like science fair or something she had been to. But then it showed on Facebook that she was in a relationship with like another girl, I guess, on her personal Facebook. But
What?
it wasn't under her name. It was under like some like fake name that she had made up. And so like while she's like doing this, like a kid's like, oh, look at the screen, look, it shows her in a relationship status. It's like we just like pulled this woman's life apart. And it's kind of like upsetting, but at the same time, it's like clearly she's fucked up.
She's a fucking pedophile, dude. No,
Mhm.
no, no. You did
Yeah.
nothing wrong.
No, it's just weird. Like the whole process was bizarre. And then I remember they had there was this I guess student teacher is what you'd call her. She was
Yeah.
she was in school yet, but she was trained to become the new like student counselor because we had two. They split it. So like the first half of the alphabet of students with last names wise got one student counselor and then the other half went with the other counselor. So this girl was in school trained to become a student counselor. And they for whatever reason they brought her in for the remainder of like the last like 3.5, 4 months of the year. Not even less than that, like 2.5 months roughly. They just had her in as a substitute teacher for our chemistry class. And this poor girl, had no idea what she was doing because like she wasn't trying to be like a teacher. She was a counselor. And like,
Yeah.
yeah, teach chemistry.
Just sitting there looking at the book, like, does anyone got the answer to the fucking question too? Because I don't. I just
It
looking
was
at
a
the back of the
mess.
book.
They had her doing her other work though, still like counseling. Because the other guy was retiring, so he was just having her basically take over his work, and he was just monitoring her essentially. And
Wow.
so she would come rushing in like 15 minutes late every day because she'd be busy doing something else. And then she'd come in. We like the previous teacher that got fired. She had like Tootsie Roll, like candies, like all sorts of like stuff stashed in her desk that was just still there. So this poor woman, this poor girl would come in, and there would be like Tootsie Rolls all over the counters because we had like these big like octagon tables that like chemistry
Yeah.
tables, and so they'd be covered in like Tootsie Rolls. I remember the one day these two kids were throwing around a box of tissues, and the one kid threw it at the other kid's face. He ducked, and it went and smashed through the cabinet window behind him. So there's like broken glass and candy all over the counter. We make no mention of it. It like this poor girl just walked into an absolute nightmare when all she wanted to do was like talk to kids about like their problems.
I never wanted to be a teacher, man.
Oh man, I felt like in hindsight, I feel so bad for her, but like at the time, I was just an obnoxious high schooler. Right?
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like a lot. Like I was a goody two shoes until
Mm.
high school, and then I turned into the biggest shithead. And I think about how I acted now, and I was like, I was a fucking piece of shit. But like, I still like the funniest thing is, so my fiance is a supply teacher,
Mm.
and my hometown there has a fair every year, and
Mm.
I haven't been there in years since COVID, really. So me and my brother decided, well, let's go to the fair, see if we can see some old buddies and stuff. And I went into the beer garden, and one of the teachers that taught me in grade 9 was serving beer at the beer garden. So I mean, like now I have a big beard, I have tattoos. I'm like, there's no way she remembers me, but I was like, this would be awkward if I have to talk to her. So I tried to avoid her, but she ended up serving me. And the first thing she said was Justin. That's my name. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah. And she's, oh my God, I haven't seen you. We're catching up. So she's asking me what's new. So I was like, yeah. I'm like, I'm actually engaged now. And she's like, oh, and I was like, yeah, to a teacher. And she was like, you fucking hated us in high school. I was like, yeah, I did. And I was like, yeah, I was like, it's amazing what life can do to you, right? And then I was like, she actually teaches at such and such school. So so the teacher's like, oh really? What's her name? So I tell her her name, and she's like, she's teaching my daughter right now. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm from a small town. So my small town is about an hour away from Toronto, Ontario.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, like it's like maybe 500 people. We have a crooked water tower that like everybody comes to see. I don't know why. If you ever watch the show Schitt's Creek, it's
Oh, okay. I
fucking
know what you're
in
talking about.
there. This crooked water tower. They just have like B-roll shots of it. Oh my God. So
It's
like,
like The Office, like
oh
watching the shots of like Scranton. People are like, oh my god, I
yeah.
want to go to Scranton. I'm like, Scranton's boring as fuck. Like,
Well, Orno's brought some big names to it. James Franco came and shot a movie.
hmm.
Or that mini series where they assassinate JF, or they're trying to stop the assassination of JFK. That
Oh, I know
was
what you're talking about.
yeah, a lot of that was shot in my hometown, which is Orono, Ontario. Fuck it, I'll say it because I don't even live there anymore. Um, yeah, it's actually Toronto without the T's. That was what my hometown was called. And there's this Netflix movie called Polar, and that was all shot in Orono too. And they actually like green screen. It's supposed to be like Colorado, like a small town in Colorado. So they actually green screen like through my main strip of the downtown. They green screen mountains all in the background and shit. Just made me want to have mountains in my own fucking town, but I don't.
Fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing that exciting where I live. It's just Amish people and Mennonites, and they're boring.
I mean, you can watch the Amish build a farm though. That's pretty cool.
Maybe the first 1,000 times. Yeah.
Man,
But
like I grew up. So my whole life, I've grown up next to a highway
mm,
until now, until I moved to where I am. But where I grew up with my parents, the highway was right behind us, and then that shithole house I lived, I just moved to the other side of the highway and up the road a little bit, and I was still on the highway.
yeah,
Nothing really entertaining ever happened in my town, but I'm glad I grew up there because you could get away with anything. Like from the sounds of your small town, I'm sure you could like grab a beer and walk to your buddy's house drinking it, and nobody would bug you.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that was the greatest part, man. Like my fiance is from Toronto, and what she did was went to concerts growing up. Like that's what her she didn't party; she went to concerts, and I was like, oh, we're quite different because all I did was like we would just hang out on back roads and drink and have fires. I had a lot of fun with my childhood. Everyone
Yeah.
chirps small towns, but fuck, man, I've had so much fun growing up where I did.
I think I do prefer like larger, more developed areas, but I think I'm biased in the sense of like I lived outside of town. So like I
Yeah,
mean now I live on the edge of a town, but like I lived it would take a little over an hour to get to the nearest grocery store. Like that's how far
wow,
in the middle of nowhere I lived. And it sucked.
holy.
Cause like as a kid, I couldn't drive. So like I could not go to like visit friends or anything. We lived in this development for like not when I say older people, I mean like 40s to 50s. And a lot of
Yeah.
them didn't have kids. And the only people that had kids were like down, we lived on top of like a mountain. And at the bottom of the mountain, there was this couple that had kids, but they were like 10 years younger than me. Like,
Wow.
so I think by the time we moved, they must not be, it was probably like 6 or 7 years younger than me. Because by the time we moved, I was uh 14, 13 or 14, but they were like children. I'm like, I can't hang out with these kids. My mom's like, why not? I'm like I'm a child, but I still have a radically different worldview than they do. Like I'm here playing video games, like getting into sports and shit, and they're just playing with like their Legos and like action figures.
Yeah.
Uh,
It
it,
was for my small town. Skateboarding was the biggest thing. That's what actually got
mm,
me into filming was skateboarding.
yeah.
I skateboarded every day after school from four from well 12 years old till about 17. Every day we'd all get together. Like there'd be 20 of us skating the shittiest little skate park you could ever skate.
Do you
But
ever
I
have one of
mean,
those black ramps that had the ramp on either side and the little flat square in the center?
the tabletops, yep, we had one of
Yeah.
those. It wasn't black; it was concrete.
Uh,
Those black ones are the worst because if you fall on those and it's hot out, it burns the shit out of your
that's
ass.
all I had as a kid. We had a driveway that was a very slight angle. It was
Yep.
enough that I could get speed going down, but I had a little razor scooter, and I would start in the garage, and I would make my way in between my parents' vehicles as carefully as I could, and just build up speed. And then I had this like the ramp at the bottom of the driveway, which was only like 20 feet long, maybe. And I
Yeah.
built speed. And I'm sure it was probably like 3 inches of air. But like as a kid, I felt like I was flying through the air. But I'd
Oh,
go
it's
off the
awesome.
ramp and then I'd like slam down the ground and I'd be like, yeah, I'd be like so fucking pumped. And in the back
Oh
of my
Christ,
mind,
yeah.
the back of my mind was like, I could have fucking died.
Oh, dude. So that's
Yeah.
actually that's funny that you say that because I got back into skateboarding last summer
Hmm.
because like they've built so many skate parks since, and it's funny because I went to the local skate park. And it's either guys I used to skate with who still skate, or guys I used to skate with younger siblings are
Hmm.
skating there. And they're all like, "Oh man, I haven't seen you in so long." And I'm like, "Fucking who are these people? Like, holy shit." I'm like a celebrity. Nah, I'm not a celebrity, but it was just nuts. And it's so true. So like I think back to when I skated when I was 14, 15. I used to have like a jersey barrier I used to air
Hmm.
out of and get so much air. I would like kick flip like 3 sets and like I wasn't that good of a skater. I did some big shit. But I
Hmm.
mean, I sit there and think about it now. It's like I'm scared to 50-50 a box now because what if my board shoots down and I land on my tailbone?
Yeah.
It's fucked. I used to 50-50. I like used to be able to 5-0 every try. I'm scared shitless to do a 5-0 now. It took me like a day and a half to mani a box. Like It's crazy. The skate scene has changed so much though from when I was 15, 6, or like when I was like 13, 14. Because when I was like 13, 14, skaters did not give a fuck. Stay out of our fucking ways if we're trying something crazy. And like, if you weren't doing crazy shit, no one acknowledged you. So when I got back into it last year, I manied a box. And when I finally landed it, like I ollied manual the whole box and landed it, everyone was smacking their boards on the ground, clapping and shit. Like I just did a 360 flip over like a triple set. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, this was not around when I was a kid, man. Like no one gave a fuck about this.
Yeah, I had some skateboards, but I never really got like super into it as a kid for a reason. I got into snowboarding around like when I became a teenager and then into high school. And that was one like I was never like afraid to like try shit. I was like, oh, it's snow. Even though here, like if maybe you've heard of, like the Poconos in general in Pennsylvania. Like, yeah. So like people talk about going to the Poconos and like skiing and snowboarding. It fucking sucks. It's terrible. It like to me, it's like the snow should be powdery, like out in Colorado. Like it's so much nicer in like even Vermont, but like Colorado is ideal. You go to the Poconos and it's almost all like manufactured snow. They just have the snow machines, and it's just
it's the same as where I am.
It's just packed down hard as ice, which is why I broke my wrist.
Oh fuck!
I went off. So I was going off a jump, and I bailed out the last minute because it was all icy, and so I didn't get much air off of it. But I just landed on solid ice, essentially, fell back and got a compression fracture on my wrist. And to this day, I'm still pissed off about it. I'm like, this wouldn't have happened if you just had real fucking snow. I'm so mad.
Yeah,
I don't remember if they got in trouble at all, but I know they had like half pipes there that I really enjoyed. But like looking back, I'm like, that's a terrible idea. Cause like the half pipes there are like, I get that in general, half pipes are like packed down because you have to have the shape of it.
Yeah.
But like it was just solid ice and it's just, oh my God, it was the worst.
Like you couldn't stop pretty much. You couldn't dig the snowboard in the ground, actually stop because it was so fucking icy pretty much.
I would have that problem. Like I would skid over the ground for a while at times because it's so slick because it's packed down just in general. And then you have so many people over top of it that it becomes just a sheet of ice as opposed to bits of snow even. Like I just hated it. Like when we went to Colorado, I was like, oh my God, this is what it's supposed to be like.
Yeah, it's funny because the first time I went to the States was fucking last February actually.
Oh, okay.
And fucking out of everywhere that I could have went in the States for my first time ever, where do you think I went?
Ooh, I'm gonna guess like Maine or like New Hampshire.
No. I went to Las Vegas.
Oh, it's very different than I was thinking. Okay.
Well, it was so Vegas came along because my girlfriend and I, COVID ended. Well, my fiance and I, we were just dating at this point. Yeah. We were like going to do a trip with some of my old college friends, but they couldn't do it. And we were both like, we need to get the fuck out of Canada for something. And we were watching The Hangover one day, and I jokingly said we should just go to Vegas. And she was like, do you want to? And I was like, I'll go. Why not? So we ended up in Vegas, but we did do a day. It was a 16-hour day. We got picked up from the Vegas Strip. I saw the Colorado River from a viewpoint, which Colorado's beautiful. Holy shit. I loved it.
Utah's and then people, it's underrated.
Drove through Utah. I think we stopped at a gas station because this day, so we went to Colorado River at a viewpoint. Then we went to Antelope Canyon, if you know what that is. Mm-hmm. And that's where the natives actually walked us to the bottom of the canyon. And that was the highlight of my whole trip, is being at the bottom of that canyon and experiencing how small we actually are as fucking human beings. It was nuts. And then from there we go to the Horseshoe Bend, which fucking crazy. I couldn't believe it, like, because I've never really traveled, right? Yeah. So this trip, I'm like fucking Vegas. Like, first of all, I never thought the first mountain I'd ever see was in Vegas, which is hilarious. Like I got Alberta that I could go see beautiful mountains, and I'm fucking on the Vegas Strip, which you can drink on the Strip, which is awesome. So I was sipping on a beer, looking at mountains, like this is crazy to think about right now. And then we're at Horseshoe Bend, which is like like you could take a million pictures, and nothing will do justice of that.
Yeah.
Of how fucking big that is and how beautiful it is. And then we did the Grand Canyon. The only thing I wanted to see, but it was dark when we got to it, was Route 66.
Oh.
Didn't get to see it. I was so pissed.
I've been all over the place out there. It's a great place. Like just in general, like the Colorado, like just the Rockies in general.
Oh yeah. Like it's just it makes you like I'm going out to Alberta. Not sure when, but it's on my goals because the mountains out there are fucking amazing. I would love to in the States, I'd love to go see Arizona. I'd love to go to Nashville just because I not even for the country music nowadays. I listen to like Waylon Jennings and Johnny Cash and all those old guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to Nashville for the Johnny Cash Museum. And then I go to Texas to see what I can find out about Waylon Jennings.
Yeah, I have family that live like down near Nashville, actually. So I'll probably be down there at some point in the near future.
Oh, that would be sweet. Are you into the country scene at all?
No, I'm not. Growing up, like I spent a lot of time around my grandfather growing up because my mom would be working all the time. My parents were split up.
Yeah.
And so my grandparents would watch me all the time. And my grandfather loves Johnny Cash. So he'd be playing Johnny Cash all the time. I got him a really old, I bought him a record player, and then I gave him an unopened Johnny Cash record. I forget which one it was, but it might have just been like a compilation.
Nice.
Yeah, he was so excited about that. And then he opened it right away. I was like, all right, well.
Well, I mean,
whatever.
You gotta listen to it.
Yeah. But yeah, I grew up listening to that. He all loved like all the 50s and stuff. Obviously, that was his heyday of music. So like I have a lot of those influences and like the types of like instrumentals and stuff I like to listen to now.
Oh, are you into the just instrumental type stuff right now?
Sometimes like I don't have like a preference in like instrumental, but like I listen to a lot of like hip hop and things like that.
Nice. So, you listen to the old guys, Wu-Tang and Nas and all of them? Hell yeah.
Nas has put out a bunch of albums lately too.
I saw him in Montreal back in 2016, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He was at a music festival and he did all of Illmatic, and it was amazing. That's what I used to skate to was Illmatic and Wu-Tang Bring the Ruckus.
Mm.
Like I used to be the biggest hip hop fan.
Yeah.
I couldn't, but it's like weird. I don't like anything new for anything. Country, rock, like I like the old stuff. Like
I think that's what happens though. Like we make fun of like our parents and shit for doing that, where it's like, oh, the new music sucks. And it's like, I think it's just like there's a point in your life where like this is peak, like this is what you're super interested in, and the new stuff comes out, and you're like, this is terrible. Because like I'm the same exact way. I hate like quote unquote like modern rap. Like I hate like a lot of people hate like mumble rap and things like that.
I hate the mumble rap.
But yeah, it's like there's just so much stuff like I can't stand it nowadays.
Do you listen to J. Cole?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like him. He's like the new Nas.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Like I don't like Drake,
no.
Kanye.
Kanye's
Oh yeah. And then there's Kanye who's somehow like more racist than anybody in the world right now. And then there's like Jay-Z who's just so rich he doesn't have to rap anymore. Like J. Cole, when you look at how J. Cole is now, J. Cole had the money and he just said fuck it and he went back to his roots, man. Like that guy goes around New York just riding a pedal bike. He took a break from rap music because Scarborough, like Toronto, there's Scarborough in Toronto. Their university wanted him to play basketball for him, so he went and played basketball while being one of the biggest rappers. Like, I swear to God, J. Cole doesn't get any radio play or anything, but I haven't met a single person to this day who doesn't know who J. Cole is.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy, and that's the crazy thing about the internet nowadays is that's the new way of blowing up. You know,
yeah.
Like Well, even like Joe Rogan, how like what has he got? 3,000 episodes.
He's been famous for so long. It's actually surprising. Like he was
Like,
famous during Fear, like for Fear Factor. He was a comedian, and it's like
but
he's
I never
so.
knew he did. You know what? I knew him from Fear Factor
Mhm.
and News Radio. I never
Mhm.
knew for the longest time he was a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
That was like the least thing that he was famous for. And I remember I was like 18 years old, and that's when he was streaming his podcast just on YouTube and then uploading it to Spotify later.
Mhm.
And I thought, there's no way. Like, how, like, this will never be big. It's Joe Rogan. Because I thought he was kind of a mental case. And
Yeah.
here I am, fucking, he just made 100 mil. Life's great for him. I'm sitting here like, well, I guess anything can happen.
It is weird. Like of all people, it is surprising that he's the guy that like blew up. It's
Right?
like, like I wouldn't. I even to this day, I'm like, I don't get why, but interesting.
Well, I mean, even, okay, so like, even look at Logan Paul and Jake
Mhm.
Paul. I mean, everybody hates him. Everybody hates him, but yeah, for some reason they have 30 million subscribers on YouTube or whatever. Like
Yeah.
how they started. They were fucking Vine guys.
Mm-hmm.
And when Vine ended, and this is like, as much as I hate Logan Paul's content, I don't like his personality. I his ego and shit, like all of them, their egos are through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
But those guys, right when Vine was ending, they went straight to YouTube, already had their following, and just kept growing. But this
They
is where
know
the
how to make
internet's,
content and like get people paying attention to them in general. Like they're
yeah.
very good at it.
But this is where the internet is fucked nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Think about back in the day. So what Logan Paul did in that forest.
Yeah.
If that was back when, like, the year when Kramer said the N-word in the stand-up show,
Mm-hmm.
Logan would be nothing right now. The internet nowadays forgets everything in a week.
You
Like
just have to
PewDiePie,
not. You just have to ignore the complaints, and it'll go away. The second you
yeah,
address it, it's like, oh, this guy gave in. Fuck him. Moving on.
yeah. It was like, even, okay, Morgan Wallen. Morgan Wallen got caught saying the N-word. That should have been a fucking, he should not be back on the radio. But he just disappeared for a couple months. And then, like, when he first announced his first song coming back, all my Instagram was everyone posting, I can't wait to hear the song. I'm like, holy shit. Like, cancel culture isn't doing fuck
Just
all for
ignore it.
people like this.
Yeah. I mean, people
It's,
keep tuning back in and be like, all right, is this going to be the apology? When is this person going to apologize? Let's keep harassing them until they apologize. And it's like, all right. Meanwhile, they're sitting there like, yeah, keep harassing me. You're just bringing more attention to me. And I'm still
yeah.
getting news. But like, it's the same thing with like Sniper Wolf. I don't know if you followed that.
Oh, she doxed Jack
Stars.
Films.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
people are complaining or talking shit like, oh, she needs to be deplatformed and everything. It is what it is. But this is the best thing that could have possibly happened to her career.
Chris, yeah.
She's already super famous on YouTube, and all this. She's on national TV, and
Yeah.
people are talking about it. It's like everyone is going to go and check it out, and they're going to watch her videos to see who she is and what she does, and she's going to get so much more attention than she otherwise would have. So I mean, like,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, you're 100% right. Because when Logan Paul did that thing in the forest, I never tell. I always say it like this now. I don't know why. I just don't like saying what actually happened. And if you don't know what happened, if you've been living underneath a rock, fucking Google it and you'll find out in 2 seconds. But when he did that, I was hardcore into my commentary channel at this point. I was uploading a lot more, and there was people at my work. Everybody was telling me, dude, you could get so many views, you should talk about it. And I was like, I don't want to talk about it. And then everyone's like, why? Don't you care about views? I'm like, no, because he's going to get 10 million more subscribers if I talk about it.
if he did
Like,
this now, he would get in a little bit of trouble. But everyone talking about it would get their video demonetized for mentioning it.
yeah, and that's the world.
According to YouTube's new rules, it's the dumbest thing.
I know. It's like, fuck me, man. Like,
Yeah.
and that's the scary part being a commentator right now. But I don't care because I don't have enough subscribers to even get monetized or anything. But, you know, I did a video. This was an eye-opening experience for me. I did a video about a girl went on TikTok and said, I've been to metal shows, and she names a couple names that I guess in the metal community are like fucking not hard metal shows, right?
Okay.
So I started the video with talking about that, but I found a TikTok where there was a metal show where there's guys fucking throwing chairs and trash cans, and it was nuts. So I was talking about like, and they're doing this in a church, by the way. It's like a metal show, like fucking throwing chairs and shit. So I posted this video, and I was like, I gotta make a reel. So I make a reel. The girl messaged me on Instagram, and it was like, you used my video, and all I thought was, I'm fucked. I'm getting sued or something. But I was like, I didn't do anything. So I thought it was probably safe. And all she said was, can you just blur my face? I was like, I got you. Because apparently she was getting death threats, and like she was getting like, yeah, right. So I was like, oh. And right when she said that, I'm like, I fucking got you. Like, I was just using you for a starting point, but I wanted to talk about these guys throwing fucking, like, they left one chair in the middle and they were throwing it at each other and shit. That's why I wanted to talk about. You were just a stepping stone. So I felt terrible because I was like, fuck, if I brought hate onto her, it would kill me. And I was like, and that's where I think I kind of start dialing down making fun of people. I have this one video where it's a Gen Z girl talk. Have you ever heard of this new thing called time blindness?
I might have heard a different phrase for it.
Where people are struggling to get to work on time. So now they're asking the companies to accommodate their time blindness.
Interesting.
So I made a whole video. Like, you should go check it out, actually, because this was the...
Yeah, Gen Z struggle with 9 to 5 hours. I see the video here.
Yeah, so I could, like, me at 23 would have fucking destroyed and just chirped and chirped and chirped and made mean comments. But I don't know why. Maybe because I'm 28 now, I'm fucking old and maybe wise. But I took the video more as I'm going to treat it as this girl sitting across from me. Like, throughout my whole life of construction stuff, I've woken up with so much anxiety. I don't want to go to work and shit, but I fucking put on my work boots and went anyways. My logic is, if you can't get to work on time, you got to set that alarm earlier. It's not, to me, it's not the company's problem that you can't get to work on time, because guess what? There's always going to be someone that can, and it's a dog-eat-dog world. They'll take him over you. So, and it was the first video where it was like, I could have really went in and said some mean shit, but for some reason I was just like, no, I went on a different approach, and the video's I'm still getting comments on it.
Do you ever get really old videos that you still get new comments on?
Nothing.
I have, like, it's so bizarre. Like, I had uploaded like Modern Warfare, like 2019 Modern Warfare guides to like some of the Spec Ops stuff. And to this day, I'll still get like a comment or two. Like, it's not much, but like, it's weird. I mean, this is from 2019, and like, I don't know when the most recent comment was, but it was recently, like a month ago. There's a month ago, 2 months ago. Like, it's like once a month, and it's just, I'm like, this is bizarre. Like, why people watching this still?
It's the weirdest thing. That algorithm, I get videos from like 12 years ago on my like recommended page, and it's like, why the fuck would I care about that now? I don't give two shits.
My recommendation page, even like the ads I see in Google, are so beyond fucked for me because of what I do. Because like, I'm on YouTube all the time researching like odd like jobs and hobbies and things, because I'm working with so many different people. So like, it's never anything I actually have interest in.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, it's the weirdest shit. And then like, my Google ads are just fucked because I'll be searching for things, or it's, you know, it's like computer repair technician things. And it's like, what? Whatever, like lumber. I'm getting ads for lumber. I'm like, I do not have any interest in this.
I always get the Bumble ads, and I'm like, I don't even fucking date. Like, I'm engaged, and I don't fucking.
My Instagram,
like, my ads are stupid.
The brand one, the Deadjuster Productions Instagram, it knows exactly what I'm interested in. Yeah, it And I'm like, okay. I Instagram is used just like for promoting the show and like contacting people.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people we contact on Instagram were people to model our like clothing line for us when we were doing that. So
Yeah.
my Instagram is just full of like quote unquote like Instagram models. And it's just Instagram model after Instagram model in like the search function. And I'm like, all right, well, I won't complain. But
That'd be awkward for your girl.
I don't, who the fuck cares? Just, who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's fucking funny.
It's just so fun because it's like everything else is just so beyond fucked. And it's like, it's a thick Latino girl. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough, Instagram.
Fucking Instagram. Oh yeah, my best ads are on Facebook because I always get the ads for Amazon for like camera equipment and shit. Cause I always just scroll through camera equipment, see what I can afford. But yeah, it's nuts.
I was gonna ask, going back to like the YouTube side of things, is there ever like a thing where like a moment or something that just inspires you to make a video? Like, is there a specific like idea that you get in your head where you're like, I need to make a video now? Like, I need to make content.
It's just like that's a good one because for me, it's mostly just like when I'm just scrolling through YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and I find that one video or I find that one story that I'm like, oh, that's a good story, and I can talk about it. Like I already have ideas I can talk about it with, and that's where it gets me excited when I find that one video where it's just like, oh yes, that's the perfect thing to talk about, or it's like you pick the right video when you haven't filmed yet. So like you find it night before you go to work and you're just thinking about that video on loop while you're working. And you're just like, what the like, and you just start randomly like, how am I going to start the video? And then you sit there and think about what they say, and then you're like, oh, I could say this about that. And like I will rehearse it on the drive home, just like what am I going to say? And then it's nuts. Like those when you find the perfect video, especially as a commentary channel, you get excited. And like the best, like I say, now you have these reels and stuff. You don't even have to do full video. If I just find a video where it's like, I could just say, well, this is stupid. I could just make a quick reel and get views on that. There's so many ways to advertise yourself now. And it's opening, like to me, it's really opening up, and I'm having a hell of a time just like I just save and like videos and go back to them. It's like, could I make a video about this? No, but I could probably make a short about this, or I could make a whole 10-minute video. It's just so many different ways that I could do it.
Yeah, like I said, doing what I do for a living, I always have these like inklings of like, I really want to just go and make my own content, because a lot of the content I'm making, like B-roll footage and stuff like that for other companies, it does really well. And it's frustrating to know that I'm making good, like successful content for other companies where my own channel is just dead, essentially. The only thing that goes up on our YouTube channel now is the podcast. It just automatically gets re-uploaded with like a waveform, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
And so like that's all it's been uploaded in ages. Like I've had ideas from time to time, but I just have not had the time to make them. And so that's like super frustrating to me, because we used to do, before Dead Just Productions, I used to do a lot of like skit content where it's like 1.5, 2-minute long videos where it's just goofy shit.
Hell yeah.
Dead Just Productions, when we started that up, it was more gaming centric. So all of our best performing content is video game related. And I was like, that's cool. I'm glad it's doing well, but fuck, like I don't want to be like locked into gaming content. And there's been other content I've wanted to make, like news related, like comedy style skits and things like that. But the combination of not having the time to do it and like figuring out how to transition the audience is a nightmare.
I always have. Sorry, go ahead. You can finish.
I was gonna say all of our best content is video game related. Like, I don't know why the Mario Party Superstars video I uploaded is like an hour long or something, and that has 53,000 views.
Holy shit!
The next two are like Modern Warfare videos. They 20,000, 18,000. I know Back for Blood was the best series that we did. I uploaded 10 videos. They all got like 5,000 views,
Oh
which
yeah,
is
that's
good for
great.
a channel of our size.
Yeah.
But I'm like, shit, like we had like other videos that we had done. I did one that was called Conceal Carry Pillow. It's the stupidest fucking video I've ever made, but it,
It
it did
got
really,
views.
it did poorly.
Oh.
uh,
Yeah, I always have that issue where I think this video will get views and then
I
it
just was
doesn't. Then the one where I don't get views, I'm
it got
like,
100, it got 115 views. I
that's
was
not
like,
bad.
yeah, it's not bad for what it was. It took me no effort. I literally came home. This is a previous job. I came home from work, filmed it while on my lunch break, edited it on my lunch break, and then went back to worck.
That's awesome.
But I was like,
Well,
let's throw this up.
it's almost like with me. It was like my one guy that I worked with there at the factory. He was telling me, he's like, "What time you go to bed at night?" I'm like, "Ah, fucking like at 10:30, man. I got to work in the morning."
Ah,
He's like, "Man, if
okay.
you want to make it, you gotta stay up later and keep filming and shit." And I'm
Mm.
like, "Well," and that's where how much it's like, how much time do you really want to put into it? Me, I'm not staying up till fucking 1 in the morning making videos. I'll stay up till 10:30 and I'm going to put my ass to bed.
I'm up till midnight or 1 a.m. every single night.
What time do you gotta get up though?
I get up about 5:30.
Fuck yeah, you're
My
up at the
alarm's
same
set for
time. Okay.
5:30. I have 3 alarms. It's 5:30, 5:35, and then 5:40. And
My
then the first
first
alarm goes off. I slap at my phone. I'm like, oh, I have it set up for I turn it on through my phone, but it's through our Amazon device. And
yeah.
I'm like, hey, stop, and it stops. And I'm like, all right. I like push the dog off my shoulder. I'm like, all right. And then I'm like half asleep still, and it goes off at the second time. I'm like, all right, stop. And then I get up. Every single morning this happens where I get up after the second alarm, get my clothes out to go get my shower, and get ready to do my workouts and everything. And then the third alarm goes off. I'm like, oh god, I forgot to turn that one off, and I'm yelling at it. And my girlfriend's getting mad now.
Yeah, for me, my first alarm's 5. I'm up by 5:30. Cause
Mhm.
same thing. I gotta take my dog out and let it shit and piss. Then
Mhm.
I have a coffee, pack my lunch, and then I'm off to work. But yeah, I very much like my sleep throughout the week. On the weekends, I'll
I like
stay up
sleep,
till
but I like having money more
yeah,
right now.
yeah. But with your jobs, you could like
I'm
you have a lot
grinding it
more
out now.
jobs.
I'm grinding it out now, so I don't have to work as much later on. That's the plan.
Yeah. And that's a good plan to have. For me, I work my Monday to Friday. I'm thinking
Mhm.
about starting up like a video uh, thing again, but
Mhm.
who knows? But for right now, I am focused on money, but with a wedding and shit, it's just more of like, let's get that fucking wedding paid off and
Yeah.
then restart from there. But I pride myself in 10:30, man. There's nothing stop me. My ass is going to fucking bed. I hate waking up exhausted. I'm a terrible worker when I have like no sleep. So 10:30, perfect amount of time, perfect amount of sleep to be fucking survive another day.
Yeah. I like I said, being home during COVID is what set the whole thing in motion. Like the streaming and like Dead Just Productions. We started Dead Just Productions in 2020. Or no, it would have been 2019. But 2020 is when it all kicked off because I just had so much free time to focus on it. Started
Yeah.
streaming, we were uploading to YouTube. I started doing like the behind the scenes work with other content creators and things like that. I mean, even now, like I have the Dead Just Production stuff that I work with other content creators, but then I'm also on like Fiverr, Upworks, like other freelance sites where it's just under my own name. It's not even under Dead Just Productions, where I'm doing stuff related to marketing, but then sales, social media management, things like that. So I'm
Yeah.
just grinding it out as much as possible now. And then I'm just trying my best to turn that into a full-time self-employment because I fucking hate working for other people.
Well, good for you, dude.
It's,
Keep up the
it's so
fucking
annoying.
grind then.
It's nice because like it does provide me with that sense of like I listen, I'm going to use the term incorrectly, but like fuck you money, where it's
Yeah.
like, all right, whatever, I have enough money, go fuck yourself, sort of thing. I don't have
Yeah.
fuck you money, but I have enough money where if they give me a problem at my quote unquote real job, I can just leave, right? Like
Hell yeah.
I like having that. I like
Yeah.
having the money from that job more, but
You have no problem leaving at the same
if it
time.
becomes well, I to peel back the curtain a little bit. I'm not sure how much of this I've talked about on this show, but like I had a very good paying job. I was very comfortable. I was working in advertising sales, and I was good at it because I was the only person at my job that understood like digital marketing, right? They were all
Yeah.
focused on like print sales and everything like that. I was focused on the digital side of it. And I guess I'll drop it. Like when at my peak, I was making a little over $10,000 a month
Holy
doing this.
shit.
I had one contract alone that was bringing like 7,000 a month.
Oh
So
my
I was
God.
doing very well. And so I was cruising on that. And this was, I forget the exact time. I think I started the job like 2 years, a year or two before Digestive Productions. And so like I just had this money and I was just sitting on it essentially. And then when COVID hit, I was at home. I was like, all right, well, I'll focus on Digestive Productions. But I was like, at the same time, I'm like, all right, well, I don't like having bills, so I paid off my car and everything like that, and focused on just making sure I had no bills. But
Yeah.
I had this cushy job, and then after COVID, I went back to the same job, but I just didn't love it. I enjoyed being able to just focus on content creation, and
Yeah.
so I took the job in the marketing coordinator position that I'm in now for people, and it's still content creation like social media management and things like that, as well as like Google ads and Facebook ads and everything related. And
Hell yeah.
even still, like I took a huge pay cut by doing that, but I was like, this is a lot closer to what I actually want to be doing. And it's given me a lot more connections and time to focus on all of my personal work. And
Yeah.
so I was like, all right, I'll take the pay cut, but I got to work my ass off because I don't want to just not have that income.
Yeah,
And so
for sure.
that's what I've been focusing on. I'm like, just keep grinding at it, just little by little, keep putting less hours into the quote unquote real job, and let them know, hey, I'm not going to be here for much longer. And
Hell yeah.
I started that last February. We're coming up on a year, which was my goal to get out and just be fully self-employed, and we're close. I don't know if I'm going to hit
Fuck yeah.
February, but mid 2024 we're going into God time. I've lost all track of time. Mid 2024. I'm hoping to be fully self-employed. So we'll see how that goes.
Hell yeah, buddy. That's
Either
awesome
that,
for you.
either that, or I'm gonna be like one of those YouTubers like I can't do it anymore. I fucking quit my job to be a streamer, and you guys didn't support me. Just don't fucking do it, man. Your dreams will never work out.
I don't ever see them doing that. Usually they're like, you guys aren't donating the $5 to me. Like they'll go
Yeah,
fucking all the way till they're sucking dick for money
I
before they start
one of
saying
my
it's our faults.
I say it's one of my favorite videos. I feel bad for the guy if it's real, but it's him sitting there crying because he like failed at Twitch. And it's his girlfriend packing in the background and leaving while he's making the video complaining about how his dreams didn't work out. And it's like
Uh,
simultaneously terrible but hilarious because it's like he just doesn't get it. Where it's like your life is falling apart around you and you're too busy focused on like your failing content creation. It's like focus on your life first.
I've never heard of this video. I need
Uh,
to look up this
I'll
fucking
take,
video.
I might be able to find it. This is from like 5 or 6 years ago, maybe. I forget how long. It's old
Yeah, you
in
gotta send me
its
that
standards.
shit.
But
That's
yeah, it's
hilarious.
like I said, it's sad if it's real, but it's hilarious at the same time because it's just his girlfriend back there like a duffel bag, just putting her shit in. He's like, I just couldn't fucking do it, man. I thought I'd do it, and it's not fucking worth it. Don't do it.
Obviously, that guy didn't have to work grind. I
I
feel
have
like
no idea.
everybody. I feel like everybody can make it in some way. Like, there's gotta be our ways in just YouTube paying you. Try to get a sponsorship or
That
something.
I think I've said this before too. Like I feel like I have an advantage in some capacity because I work in marketing. So like
Yeah,
I mean that's why like Digestive Productions like why I do like the behind the scenes stuff with people because it's like this is literally my job. Like
yeah,
I mean on our website I have the basics like check like the social media checklist or it's like all right for YouTube these are the best practices Instagram TikTok whatever. I'm like these are best practices reach out if you have like other questions about more in-depth stuff. But like I know how like Google ads work in and out. Facebook, same thing. You know, TikTok, not so much because I don't like having Chinese malware on my phone.
Yeah.
But like in general, like I mean, TikTok is a fad. It's popular now, but it's going to be Vine at some point. Like
Yeah, it's going to die.
Snapchat is still popular, but it's obviously nowhere near as popular as it was. TikTok has replaced it in a big sense. But you still have Google, you still have Facebook / Instagram. You know, I focus on those in particular because they're the main ones that all the money is being funneled through, where all the potential, you know, consumers, so to speak, are at. And
I'll have to hire you. You'll have to help me out with my shit.
I can help you out. Yeah, we'll chat afterwards. No worries.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I definitely have a one up in that regard. And I think too, people just in general, like you have to imagine like how many millions of people have podcasts where I'm sure
Christ, yeah.
where it's like just a random person sitting in their room just chatting. They have no like computer or like audio skills. They aren't good at reaching out to people to get them come on the show. Maybe again, that's my job. Like I manage outreach. I'm good at connecting with businesses and handling B2B stuff. This is right up my alley. So it's like if I need sponsors, I will find their contact information and call them up, email them, whatever I need to do. Same thing with some guests. We had Shoni Carter on the show. What is episodes? 3 episodes ago. I'm losing my goddamn mind here. I can't keep track of what day it is, what year it is. With Shoni Carter on, great guest. He's a former UFC guy. He's a mixed martial artist.
Really,
guy. That one, as of the time we're recording this podcast, it's not up yet, but that'll be coming out next week. That's gonna be one of the video podcasts we do because it's episode 200.
Oh so shit! You got a UFC guy for that? Fuck yeah!
Highly recommend checking that one out.
I'm gonna fucking check that out.
Even if people don't like listening to most of our episodes, that's definitely one to check out because it's mostly just him talking the whole time. I was very quiet because I'm just letting him talk. Very entertaining guy, very nice guy. He's telling stories about like all of his adventures around the world and fighting and this and that, and it's a great time. We're working on getting him back on the show maybe next month as well.
So you're still in touch with him, eh?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. We had some technical issues. My part-time co-host class could not, for whatever reason, we just couldn't get the call to work properly.
Right.
And so we're sitting there waiting, and I'm talking to Sean, like, yeah, we were having trouble getting everyone in, and he just FaceTimes me. I'm like, oh, this is how we're doing this now. Okay.
Oh my God. How nervous were you for that interview though? Were you nervous?
No, not at all. I've talked to so many people in sales and just in general for outreach. I've lost all semblance of like nervousness around talking.
Well, that's good.
There'll be it'll be awkward sometimes depending on who I'm talking to because like they'll have like a weird personality by my standards, which sometimes is like off-putting if they're like very like nervous. Like I'll try and like relax, the conversation, everything. But sometimes people are just like really reserved and it makes it hard to get through. And the whole conversation is just kind of awkward, which isn't a problem either because it's entertaining to me either way.
I mean, like just as long as you're good with it, like, the guy who's doing the interview has to be fucking chill. That's the biggest thing.
Best example of that is I don't remember the episode number, but we had a guy on the show called himself God. We got maybe 45 seconds into the episode before things got off the rails and it never recovered. I asked him one question, why he called himself God. He went off on a tangent. It was episode 189. He went off on a tangent and I tried to bring it back. I have no memory of what he talked about. Tried to bring it back. I'm like, anyway, like you talk to like people on the street outside of this restaurant. I've seen a lot of videos. Like they're not random people. And I'm like, I didn't say that. And
what yelled at me for?
That whole episode was nuts. He was arguing with my co-host the entire time about whether or not the atmosphere was real. And it was nonsense the entire time. But the entire time I was just sitting there like, yeah, man, I'm just super calm. I'm just trying to like rationally explain our side of the argument, which is the atmosphere being real, which I think is pretty reasonable.
Yeah. Oh my
uh,
god.
that was a mess of an episode. But yeah, there's no scenario in which I'm gonna sit here and like raise my voice angrily,
No.
like other than like for jokes or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't enjoy raising my voice even in like my life. I'm very calm usually, and
That's
yeah, on the podcast in particular, it's like why the hell would I care?
yeah,
I just
exactly
don't
right.
care. I'm fucking 29 years old. I'm fine in life. I don't fucking care. I have better
Yeah.
things to do with my time than sit here and
It
argue with random people on the internet.
oh Christ, yeah. I don't like I I think it was on TikTok or it was on my short one of my shorts or something. No, it was on Instagram. On one of my reels, someone commented because my Instagram is the Honestly Lazy podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of my reels, and the guy just commented, like, not everybody should have a podcast. And I was like, oh, I got a troll. So I messaged him back, cool. And he just didn't message back. And I was like, well, if you're going to start it, like, let's see where you're going to go. Don't just fucking ignore me now that I said cool. Like, I'm not,
Yeah.
like, I don't care. Like the hate messages, like, I did one reel where it was Ngannou versus Tyson Fury. I did a
Oh yeah.
video about it.
Did he really lose to Fury? Yeah.
Yeah, so I was talking about that, and everybody on TikTok is saying because I said Ngannou, like I guess I was saying his name wrong, and everyone's like, "Man, you have like one guy's like, you say you have respect for the sport, but you can't even say his name properly." And I just messaged him back saying like, "Fuck off! I can't like I can barely read, let alone like say his name." And like everyone's like questioning, but I would comment back, and they would like just laugh with me about it because like once I realized I fucked up, I'm like, well, it's out there. I'm not taking down the video now, but
You just
might
gotta
as well.
agree and amplify. Just fuck it up even worse next time on purpose. Just say
Yeah,
it wrong in as many different ways as you can.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
Francis
I mean,
Ngannou. Oh, maybe don't do that.
yeah. Nuganu. I didn't
Yeah.
say. I didn't. Maybe I don't know. But I didn't say the N
Ngannou,
word.
Francis Ngannou. Yeah, just anything you can to fuck it up, and just anytime someone tries to correct you, be like, I'm pretty sure I said it correct. And I said it right every single time.
Yeah. So yeah, it's, the content. It'll be interesting to see where the Boystick channel goes from here. In all honesty, what I'd probably do from here on out with Honestly Lazy is try to make it into a media company where it's like Boystick is commentary, but
Mhm.
like Honestly Lazy could be one of my things I want to do is something called like the Passion Project. I don't have a name for it yet, but where I go out and like interview people. So my main thing is like tattoo artists, like
Mhm.
go into their shops, film them, do an interview, like podcasters, but I actually go to their house and like film and like create like a little
I,
like mini doc show or something. You know
I
what I
had
mean?
a similar like idea at one point, and I tried to like finding people in my area, and it did not go well. I had so many people like they would be like upset that I'd ask because like we have a nearby like a pub nearby like
Yeah.
they do like all they brew a bunch of their own stuff and everything. It's really
Oh,
cool.
craft brewery place.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'd reached out to them. I was like, "Oh, can I come over?" And originally, the idea was we were just gonna film a podcast. My this was back when I had my original co-host, and we were just gonna film a podcast episode in person there. Just they have like an upstairs area that they use for events. I'm like, surely there's a day that you don't have an event scheduled where you can just come and chill up there for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and just shoot the shit. And if you guys want, you can come on. We'll interview you, talk about your place and everything, just get you some extra exposure. And they're like, I'm sorry, like we're not interested in letting you film in our establishment. I'm like, I feel like you're really glossing over what I'm offering, but okay.
Yeah, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah. Fuck them. They
Dude,
don't pay their bills anyway. We had sold them some advertising and they didn't pay, and so they got sent to collections. So they're having fun dealing with that
oh
now.
shit. Ooh,
Yeah.
send to collections is always fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
like luckily for me, so to start this project, there's already like a tattoo artist that wanted me to interview him. So I was like,
Mhm.
well, we won't do a podcast. I'm like, let me come in for a day. We'll wait till it's closed or before it opens. I'll mic you up. I'll go out, get a Zoom recorder, get a lav mic, and we'll set you up. We'll film like an hour long interview. And then like if you have someone come in, I'll film some B-roll of you tattooing them, and then take your apprentice, sit him down, have him talk about you. And then, like, even the apprentice, he's fucking tattooed me 3 times. So
Mhm.
I'm sure, and like the last time he was one who tattooed me last week. We were shooting a shit. It was awesome. We were talking about the Fury fight. We were talking like Vegas because he's been there too.
Mhm.
And it was just like, fuck, like I think I could actually get this going. I also got a buddy who's in voice acting that I'm sure he would be like, hell yeah. Like I feel like I could get away with it, but I only have so many people, and then it's like, oh shit, now what do I do? Maybe I'd message Logan Paul and be like, yo, I'll fly out to wherever. He doesn't even live in the States anymore. I don't even think. Fuck.
I have
I think
no
he's in
idea.
I think he's in Puerto Rico right now.
Hmm.
But I
No
mean,
idea.
yeah,
But
fuck.
yeah, like you might as well just reach out. Worst he can do is not respond or say no, which is
Yeah,
weird.
right?
I feel like there's so many scenarios. It goes back to like having the skills that I do from my normal jobs, and that like some people lack. Like people are just afraid to reach out to people. They're like,
Oh,
oh,
I
like,
am.
oh, interesting, yeah. Because like in my mind, it's like, yeah, they'll either most likely they just won't respond or they'll just say no. But like,
Yeah.
there's no real negative to having people like shoot you down. Same thing with like dating. Like I mean, I haven't dated anyone. Like my girlfriend and I've been together for 6 years, so it's like
Yeah.
I have no experience with like dating apps and shit like that. Like Tinder, I don't know when Tinder got popular, but like I had no experience with it. I've never used a dating app in my life, and it is hilarious to me because like I used to work for a college, and it would be funny like going into town and it's like all these college kids in like the bar, and I would just be talking to people and they'd be like confused by that and like weirded out. Meanwhile, they're like on dating apps trying to match with people while they're in the bar. I'm like, you could just talk to the people around you, right?
Oh Christ, man. That was the funniest thing. When I was in college,
Mhm.
it was like all my boys would be like, yeah, man, we're going to like I'm going to try to get a girl tonight and shit. And then I'd be like, cool, I'm focused on getting as fucked up as possible on booze. And I would always get a girl and they never would because I really feel like girls can sense when you're really trying and you're just trying to get laid.
Mhm.
And because I never put out that vibe of I just want to fuck you,
Mhm.
girls like I would just start talking to a girl and I just be like fucking one girl I talked about the Dale Earnhardt crash, like
Mhm.
the one that killed him, and I was like woke up more like why the fuck were we talking about that? But that the girl would not like leave my side. It got to the point where I was trying to leave her and she was following me everywhere, and I was like, oh fuck, what did I get myself into?
Yeah, it's weird like watching people that are like in that like early 20s range now and just be like watching their social skills like decline in certain areas
Oh,
where it's
it's terrible.
like they're way better than me at like messaging like back and forth, like just their networking as far as like social media goes is definitely better than me in like a non-professional manner,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
their in-person social skills are embarrassingly bad. Like I have my girlfriend's brother and like his ex-fiance or whatever, like I consider them socially retarded. My sister's an even better example where it's like
Oh my god.
she has absolutely zero, so she doesn't know how to talk to people like in public. Like, she would, if you asked her to, she wouldn't be able to go up to a stranger and like say anything to him, even at like a restaurant. Like she can't go up to like a server and ask for directions like the bathroom or anything. i'm
Oh
like
my god.
I'm like, Jesus Christ, like you're just talking to another human being. It's not like you're not under threat of violence. It's fine.
Oh, that's the funniest thing. I've seen like I'm very sociable. Like in my relationship with my fiance, like she likes being to herself when we're out in public and stuff. If I
Mhm.
get bored, I start talking to people. And like we've been in lineups for concerts before and I've made friends with the people in front of us. We've just gone out for like dinner or something. I'll make friends wherever. If I get bored, I fucking just start shooting the shit with people. I like talking to people and hearing their
Mhm.
stories though.
Let's think. I'm actually very reserved in public. Like I don't. I'm not reserved. I'm just not outgoing. I'm just neutral, I guess you could say. Where if people start talking to me, I'm fine to have conversations, but I'm not the person looking to have conversations. Like I'm not going up to people and initiating it.
Yeah.
That being said, I usually just don't have time to stop and talk to people.
You're
The
always
one
running
office,
around.
the one office building I go to a lot for work, there's another office there with I don't even know what they do, to be honest, but they're constantly in and out of the elevator taking smoke breaks. And I've gotten to the point where I know of them, like who they are at least. And
Yeah.
so I'm just like, all right, I'll just roll with my own jokes. And they're like 50s maybe. And it's funny, like I'll just be coming in and be like brushing myself off from having been outside or like down in the one workshop taking photos and videos. And they're
Yeah.
like, oh, what'd you get over here? I'm like, I'm just getting the blood off before I go back inside, and like things like that. And
Yeah.
I get like put off by my humor. And I'm like, all right, this is why I like don't talk to strangers, because I'm the dangerous person in this, conversationally at least. But like I feel like my problem with like small talk with people is that I make no attempt to like adapt to their like conversational style. Whereas on the podcast here, like I try my best to like match the other person's energy and level of, you know, involvement as far as like specifics. Like if we're talking politics or whatever, I'll be more informative on it as opposed to like, you know, talking about video games. I'm like, yeah, this game's fucking great or whatever. Like I just try and match the other person's level of involvement and energy and enthusiasm. But in public,
Yeah.
it's like you're gonna deal with me. That's just how it is.
Well, on your side too, you did, what'd you say? You did 7 interviews already this week? Dude, I wouldn't want to
Yeah,
go out and talk to fucking anybody after that.
I
Fuck,
just hate
man.
small talk. Like it's the most worthless thing to me. Cause like people come up and be like, "Oh, nice day." I'm like, "What the okay."
Fuck
Like,
off.
what am I supposed how am I supposed to respond? Like, I have nothing to say to you. Like, I don't give a fuck about that. I'm inside. Clearly, we're in an elevator. Like,
I'm not.
I, I hate that so much when people try and make small talk with me in the most boring way. I'm like, please just come up with anything other than how nice day or how the weather is. Anything at all, and I'll engage you.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, it's oh god, it's so annoying to me. It's
Yeah.
and like I said, every single time it's like the same thing where they're like, "Oh, how's your, you know, you running down there to get photos?" Like, you know, I am because that's my job.
No, I'm actually going down to I don't know. I can't think of anything else.
I'm just trying to work off the meth. You know,
Yeah. Withdrawn.
yeah, I got the shakes, man.
Yeah.
Uh, Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I hate that. So usually, like if I see somebody like getting into the elevator, I'm like, all right, I'll let them go in. I'll go to like the vending machine and get a snack or something, and then hop in the elevator. I'm like, all right, good. Now I can just power
I'm out.
walk my way to the office, put my headphones in, and get back to work.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's it is
It's a
what it is.
rough life, man. It's a rough life.
It's rough life. But then I, you know, 3 o'clock rolls around. I'm like, all right, fuck it. I'm booking it home. Got work to do.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
gotta talk to the famous Boystick from fucking YouTube.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's interesting. Like it is different. Like I've mentioned it a ton of times on the podcast where it's like one of the main reasons we do audio only podcasts most of the time is because it's easier for people to get into that might be like camera shy and whatnot.
Yeah.
Obviously you make YouTube content showing your face, so it's different. But like there's a lot of people that are just like incredibly nervous about putting their face on the internet. And to an extent, I get it. The internet's a very like up and down place where it's like you never know. People, if people have a problem with you, they'll let you know about it, and they don't care if it makes you feel like shit. So like I get why people wouldn't want to show their face a lot of times, but
Yeah.
again,
That was the
it's just
biggest thing for me when I started YouTube, was getting used to being in front of a camera. Well, now I'm so used to it now, but I used to
yeah.
like whisper because I didn't want everyone in the house to hear me. Now I'm like, yeah, fuck it. I don't care. I'm
Mm.
talking.
Yeah, I think like when I was a teenager making content, it was one thing. I was never shy about it either, but like now, like back then, I would like keep my door closed and like locked or whatever because I didn't want people walking in on me making content because I'd freak out and be like, "You're ruining it." Nowadays,
Yeah.
it's like I have a fucking sign on the door says on air and it blinks. It's like leave me alone.
That's sweet though.
My girlfriend bought that for me actually.
Oh fuck
So
yeah! I think my fiance's trying to get me one of those, but I got nowhere to put it right now. But once I do, I'm getting one.
yeah, like I said, I'm probably gonna move. We're looking at like North Carolina, maybe sometime next year. And
Nice.
when we moved down there, like some of the houses we're looking at, like just in general, like layouts wise, I'm like, I will either have a completely finished basement with like, a home gym and then like an office area, or just one of the spare bedrooms, sort of like we have here, a spare bedroom. And I would just turn that into my office. But like I need to have like a whole area just for the office and like filming and stuff.
Oh, of course you do.
And yeah, I can't have it be like when I was a kid. It's like, all right, my bedroom is where my desk is as well. And it's just shit. The whole setup is just absolute dog shit. Setting up,
Yeah.
set my off. I remember like in the early days before I had like a capture card, setting up, I'd have my office chair, my toolbox, and then a couple other books and boxes. And I'd set the camera on top of that pile. So it was perfectly level with the TV. And I'd film the TV that way. And
Oh
that's how I
fuck
get
yeah.
like gameplay recordings.
That's awesome though.
And nowadays I turn on the computer and it's just good to go.
Yeah.
Oh man. So I know you mentioned like doing like the documentary style stuff, like tattoo arts and everything. Was there any like specific type of content you wish you could make that maybe you don't have like the necessary tools or skills or something for that you'd be interested in getting into?
That's a good question actually. Is there anything that um for right now, I'm pretty content. The only thing I wish I had is like a gimbal. That's about it.
Mhm.
But you know, uh if I wanted to do skits, I would have to have friends that actually want to be in them.
Mhm.
I feel like I would love to try doing some vlogs from time to time, but I'm comfortable with just me going to Toronto, filming Toronto for a bit where it's just me. That would be fine too.
Yeah.
For right now, tool wise and stuff, uh, you can use anything nowadays. Like I could
Mhm.
fucking like the cameras on cell phones alone are almost as good as DSLRs, and you can
Yeah.
buy a lavalier mic to hook up to your phone and make it sound as professional as a
Even the
shotgun
attachments.
mic.
I was gonna say even the attachments for like the phone cameras and stuff can make them
Yeah.
equal, if not better than basic DSLRs.
Oh Christ, yeah. The
Yeah.
only thing, if like in the future, if I was going to take Honestly Lazy into a media type thing,
Mhm.
is just have an office. Like I always have this idea where Honestly Lazy is like an office building where there's one
Mhm.
room for just like live stream podcasting. Then I have my own like office where I film my commentary, and then there's like
Yeah.
a meeting room. But
Mhm.
I also, because I'm such a music junkie, a fucking thing that I'd love to do is open up like just a little bar, like a tiny tiny bar
Yeah.
where it's where you have a little stage and it's like two floors. So the upstairs floor would be like a podcast room,
Mhm.
and I would bring in musicians. We would do a sound check, bring them up, do a quick interview, and then they'd come down to a show that night for whatever many
Yeah.
people, and there'd be a little bar for them to have drinks at and shit.
I'd I'd considered buying like office space that we were gonna do like production work out of, but where I live, like
Yeah,
rent is so high. Like I forget what
dude.
it was like $1,500 to $1,800 a month for like the smallest fucking spaces. I was like, this is not worth the investment.
You should look into like look in Ontario right now, like how much
Everything
rent is
looks
for
small.
us.
Yeah.
We are getting murdered in rent right now. It's fucking terrible. I'm paying pretty much a mortgage to for fucking rent.
It's insane. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then like you
These are
go
big
try to get a
nightmare.
mortgage and they stress control your fucking money and you can't get a mortgage. It's like I've been paying a mortgage for fucking 5 years.
I was wondering why. I was like, this, I was like, what are all these like palm trees? It pulled up Ontario, California, which is like outside of like Los Angeles. I was like, this does not look like Canada at all.
Yeah, a palm tree in Canada would be pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, this is Ontario. This is $1,750. Good grief.
Yep.
And that's Canadian dollar dues. Oof.
Yeah.
I have no idea
Two
what the conversion is at this point. It's been so many years since I've
two
been to Canada.
I used to rent a house for pretty much that 1,700. Now houses are going for 2,500.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking disgusting.
Oh, Canadian dollar is worth 0.73 United States dollars. Interesting. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
we suck right now.
that's like
Canada's a joke.
about 1,300 United States dollars, which is still expensive for rent a month.
Oh, crazy, yeah. But you guys' houses are going for what, 300K to buy a house?
It depends where you live. Yeah, like
Yeah.
a lot of them are super. I know a number of people I work with are like that, where they're struggling to like find places. Like my one coworker, I mean, he and his wife combined are making enough like 150K, like, but they couldn't buy a house. I mean, that's combined income. They couldn't buy a house because like the down payment was so much, the rate was so much, like the interest rates and everything like that. He's like, I literally can't afford the mortgage on the house,
Yeah.
and so they're like stuck renting.
Oh man, it's
And
going to happen in Canada soon.
yeah, well, I know like some of the houses around here like almost doubled in price, and it went from the thing where you could like I'll make up a number, like let's say a house was listed at $300,000, you know,
Right.
before like COVID and everything like that, you'd put in an offer like, oh, let's do 285, 290, and people might be like, okay, I'll take that. I'm struggling to sell the house, but now, you know, part of it is like people are trying to buy the houses. Like you can't put in an offer under that amount. You're having to go
Yeah.
305, 15, 320,000 even to even
Yeah,
have
you
people
have to go
consider it.
up.
It doesn't help. I don't know what it's like in Canada, but like there's been a huge influx of like Chinese companies buying up swaths of land and housing
Yep.
developments. And it's like, why are we letting a foreign country buy up our country?
Oh,
Like
dude, right? It's nuts.
it's like we're throwing away the future for our own citizens just so a foreign company can buy it up. What, a foreign country? I'm like, this is insane.
It's the
Like
world we live in, buddy.
one of my
It's all about money.
one of my friends lives outside of Atlanta, and he's like, yeah, like I forget how many. He's like, there's like 5 or 6 developments in his area immediately that are all owned by like some Chinese company, and so like this huge area around like where he lives is just all owned by one company, and you can't buy the houses. You have to rent it, and it's like $2,000 a month, and
Oh
it's
my
like it's
god.
ridiculous. He's like you can't afford to move because it's expensive everywhere else, but you're stuck you're like you can't afford to stay here either because it's too expensive. So these people are like struggling to do anything.
It's a fucking joke.
Yeah, but yeah, I
Yeah.
briefly, I know we're almost at 2 hours here. My girlfriend's home; she's gonna want dinner. But like I'd ask you about like what are the things you like wanted to make. I did like a test recording for like a news show I was gonna do similar to the podcast, but it was gonna be
Yeah.
like news, but with like a more laid back comedic style to it. I was gonna do
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I wanted to do a podcast for it or just make it into like a 20-minute long like YouTube video every week maybe. And I never realized like how much time that would require. I did 2 test episodes, and it was like 15 hours of research each episode.
Oh
And
Christ,
I
yeah.
was like, I remember like someone messaged me a while back, and they're just like, oh, what happened to this? I'm like, I literally do not have the time to do the research required for this show.
Oh yeah. Dude, it's so much work. Like I was going to do the same thing.
Mhm.
I've thought about doing like that type of stuff. You have to hire somebody as a full time. If you want to do your own work, you have to hire someone to do the research for
It
you.
was
It's fucking nuts.
it was insane because like part of it is like one doing the research and like getting all of the information, but then on top of that, then it's like, all right, well now I have to write the episode, and it's like it takes like you might think of like an episode of like just any TV show and think like how much dialogue is going into it.
Yeah.
And that alone takes a lot of time, but like I'm having to take the information, make it concise and easy to like understand and digest, and then write it in a way that's entertaining and funny. I'm like, it takes so long So like one 20-minute episode would take me like 20 hours to make it. I'm like, this just, I enjoyed it, but like, man, it's too much work for no payoff. Like it just,
That's
especially like at the time, I was like, oh my God, I can't.
yeah. That's actually here's the funny thing. You write your scripts for Boystick. I don't write any scripts
Yeah.
for any of my videos. I just start watching the video and make points. I'm very on the fly. I hate writing scripts.
In this case, I have to almost, because like I'm trying to push on like like this would have been like actual news where it's like, for instance, like right now I'd probably be doing an episode on like what's going on with like Israel and Palestine or whatever. Like I'd have to bring like actual like data points and things like that. It'd be a lot more information focused.
Yeah.
So like I'm having to like write the script so to make sure like I'm getting the information across. If I try and riff for 20 minutes on that, I'm gonna make a freaking mess of it.
Yeah, I guess. I guess for news it does make more sense, but for my type of videos, I don't even know the last time I wrote a script.
Yeah. I think too, like you're doing more reactionary as opposed to passing on information.
Yeah.
You are
Yeah,
obviously you are doing like information of like this is what's going on. I know you did one on what's her name with the alcohol, Amouranth.
oh shit, yeah, I
Right.
forgot about that
It was like
video.
your posted video on your channel. And I was like,
Amouranth, yeah.
yeah, like obviously it's like a news topic to an extent, but it's like your reaction to it. So like
Like it's gross. Who the fuck does?
it's very gross.
I
Yeah,
don't
it's
want to live on this planet anymore.
she. I know because I watched that video because it was the pinned one on your channel, and you mentioned like a girl like selling her farts. Remember? I'm pretty sure she did that as well. I think she did that
Oh
and bathwater. Cause I remember her on the
no,
news.
bathwater was Belle Delphine. That fucking chick.
No, I am aware of that. I think
Yeah.
Amaranth did that too, though.
Oh god. Yeah. Oh,
She did
Amaranth
all of those like
sold her farts.
I'm almost positive because I remember
Oh
that
god.
coming up. I one of the channels I would listen to throughout the day, like every week, they mentioned that as a story, the new like beer thing, and they mentioned that she had done the like the farts in the jar thing as well. She wasn't
Oh
obviously
shit.
the one that like went to the hospital or whatever. I'm almost positive she did that, and like I don't know if it was bathwater or because she got like she blew up on Twitch for doing the like quote unquote hot tub streams. I think it might have been
Yeah.
hot tub water or something. So it was
Oh
like,
yeah. No, she was the hot tub water girl.
yeah,
Oh, ew, dude. Ugh, I don't
it
even want to
makes you
live on this
worried for
planet
like the
anymore.
future of humanity, where this is where like things are going, like how people make money online.
Fuck, dude. It's a joke,
I mean, like good
honestly.
on her for like making her money, but man, these people are like the lowest of the low.
Well, it's like I said in the video. It's like, are some people just going to buy it just to put on a wall to show off? Which, if you're one of those people, you're still fucked up. But
It's so weird.
who are going to be people who buy it to actually drink it? It was funny because I posted that video. My buddy messaged me. He's like, "You'd probably drink it," and I was like, "I mean, if it was given to me, I'd take a sip to see what it tasted like and probably
No
throw
chance.
up everything in my
Yeah.
stomach."
Absolutely
But
no chance. Well, there's no chance I'd buy it to begin with. But yeah, oh my god, it's so gross.
oh my god, I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
It is. I want to know like the people who are like legitimately buying this because they're so excited to drink it. Like same thing with like the people that buy like the bath water and stuff. Like I'm always curious, like where are they in life that this is what they're doing, like buying this
You know
stuff.
what I think it is? I think it's actually some of the richest people. I think it's rich people because like they have that because when you get that rich, you can buy anything you want. So you can buy pussy, you can bang the hottest girls and all that type of stuff. You lose that rush.
Hmm.
So they would, I could definitely see the rich people
You're right.
buying, the used underwear, bath water, beer, like just because that's like, well, no one else will have this. I'm going to be unique for this. The rich person always has to be unique in life. And in my experience with talking to rich people, they're the most boring people in the world because all they talk about is what they spent their money on. And I give zero fucks on what you're spending your money on.
There's that. I do think a lot of people that are like wealthy, like they just hoard money, and to them, they get enjoyment out of making money, not like
Yeah.
having fancy, expensive things. So like some of the
Yeah.
people I work with, like a couple of the business owners that I work with, like that's basically their hobby is like, oh, how do we make money? What's a new business we can get into that could make money? And to me, I'm like, they're like, if they're happy, good on them. That's fine. But like, it's the weirdest thing to me that instead of like enjoying life, they're just like making a numbers game out of it and like playing with other people's like lives and income.
Oh,
It's
it's
it's the
disgusting.
weirdest like narcissistic thing I've ever seen.
Oh fuck yeah. I can't stand rich people. I'll stay broke forever.
I mean,
Logan Paul would be drinking Amaranth's fucking beer.
I say that like I agree where it's like I think it's not that I hate people that are like that. It's I hate that like they could be doing something productive with their time and money that they're not using. Instead,
exactly.
Like, how do I just make more money and hoard it in a way that other people suffer?
That's so it's so fucked up, but it's true.
Do you remember like Wall Street? Do you remember? I forget what it was, why they're protesting, but like during like the stock market crash, how those people on Wall Street were up like on the balcony drinking wine and like making fun of the people down below while they were in the streets protesting because they couldn't afford to live. Like that's like the prime example of like something bad needs to happen to some people.
Honestly, yeah. Something has to happen for the YouTubers. I feel like all they have to do is lose a boxing match, and their egos are like KSI acted like a bitch, and that brought me lots of joy. But I mean, like Logan and Jake, well, more Logan, really, because of that crypto scam he had and shit. That motherfucker needs to pay.
It's such a scummy thing. Like,
he's a scumbag.
I don't like go back to what you said before about like not liking him or his personality or whatever. It's like, I totally agree. Like, if he hadn't done anything to like actively like screw people over, I wouldn't like him just because of who he is and like his content wise and his personality. But I wouldn't sit here and like actively hate him for no reason. I'd just be like, not for me. But like, it's when these people are like toxic people and then also actively fucking people over. I'm like, I really, that's when I have a problem with it.
And then they sit there and say, I did nothing wrong. What do you mean?
I'm sorry you guys didn't understand that I was fucking you over.
Yeah, that's when I crossed the fucking line.
Like
as much as...
What's the guy's name? Speed. I show Speed.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Fuck that guy.
And he's like 19 or 20 or something. I saw him. I'm big into like soccer. And I saw the Ballon d'Or awards and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, this guy's everywhere and I fucking hate him. He's so obnoxious. And he did the same thing. He fucked over people that were like getting merch and stuff like that. And I was going to ask you this too, about like, he did the whole like copyright claim abuse on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's so obnoxious.
I hate these people who do the copyright strikes, especially like, remember when PewDiePie, he got copy striked by Alinity.
Yeah.
Because he said Twitch or stream thoughts or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Like, to these people, you are a fucking celebrity. You have to deal with this. So, I got blocked by this guy on Twitter, Dean Blundell. I said one thing. He's an internet troll, or he claims to be an internet troll.
Yeah.
I said one fucking thing to him on one of his posts, and I got blocked. And all I think is, well, if you're going to be an internet troll, don't block me. You're a bitch at that point. If you can dish it out, but you can't take it, you're a pussy, and I give zero fucks about you at that point.
It's ridiculous. Like, these people, like, I don't know how they're trying to be like professional like YouTubers and things like that, and they have the thinnest skin in the world.
Oh, it's Christ, because they have a bunch of yes men. They're so young.
Yeah.
They get rid of their true friends who are actually looking out for them and saying, don't do this, you fucking moron.
Mm-hmm.
And they go for these goddamn yes men that pat them on the back for every little thing they do, and they start thinking they're the greatest.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't challenge themselves.
You said, do you remember, I don't know if you were ever into like Call of Duty commentators, like Xstraws. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
No, I never watched.
He was a young guy. He got super famous at like 15 or 16 years old, making a bunch of money from YouTube. I mean, a lot of money for the time.
Yeah.
And he got really famous. He did a lot of like social media marketing and stuff like that. He was, I think, Justin Bieber's social media marketing guy at one point. So he was making a
Holy.
bunch of money, but he got like, it's like the same scenario where it's like he just had no one around him to tell him to like calm down, like get your shit in order. So he got like addicted to like drugs and shit. And I remember there was a podcast he was on where he was like, I'm going to make a pill that makes you live forever. I'm going to do like all these bionic implants. I'm going to solve like world hunger. I'm going to become the world's like first, like, I forget exactly. So he's like, I'm going to become the world's like first trillionaire. I'm going to give away like 99% of my wealth. Like, I'm going to save the world essentially. And it's like, this is a kid that like, he got famous and lost it all before he turned like 21, essentially.
It's like the same with like
Jesus.
FouseyTube.
That sounds
Have you
super familiar. I can't think. I
Foozy
can't picture him.
Tubes? I did a video on him, and it was about the. He fucking called the cops on himself and started yelling at the cops. He
I
said he
think I
had
do know who
someone.
this is.
Yeah,
Okay, I know exactly. I know who it is after seeing him.
yeah. He, like, it's like it's such a cancerous thing that can happen to you. You can be the most talented guy, you
Mm-hmm.
get famous, and then you just get into the drugs and fucking yeah. It's just like you have to. That's the shittiest thing about YouTube. Once you start getting famous, you have to always be on it because
Mm-hmm.
you can be gone like that, and you can lose your views like that. It's fucking terrifying to think about.
I just watched the documentary on Boogie 2988. And now he's like
Oh
ruling society.
yeah,
Watching,
fuck it.
he's like talks about. He's like, yeah, I spent $200,000 on prostitutes. Like, Jesus Christ, you could have paid your house off, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, but like they don't care, man. Fuck, it's sad. I got what's that documentary? You gotta send me that.
Yeah, I could. It's easy enough. I'll get you the link for it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like an hour long maybe, but it's like an actually like professionally made documentary by
yeah.
Mike Klum. I don't know how you pronounce it.
I
Uh,
think I know what you're talking about.
it's super interesting. It's super well done. But yeah, it's like you see it so often with these people, especially like the early YouTube guys, where it's they get famous, quote unquote famous doing it, and they have no idea how to like manage their careers or their money. So like I know so
Yeah,
many of those older YouTube guys that would go out and buy like super like exotic sports cars and shit. And then, a year later, their YouTube channel's fallen off because they don't know how to keep up with trends and stay, famous. And so like now they have to trade in their car because they can't afford the payment on it anymore. They have to sell their house and move back into a shitty apartment because they can't keep up with the mortgage payment.
yeah.
And yeah,
It's fucking crazy.
it's a mess, which is why I don't care if I get famous doing podcasting or YouTube or anything like that. I just work hard, manage my money, and
Yeah,
I don't waste it on stupid shit. Mainly,
exactly.
we hoard it and then we reinvest it into food that I eat, and then like some of it goes back into like keeping up like the podcast and like managing my actual like equipment that I use. So we'll
Yeah.
see. We're gonna start my separate. I might get into like 3D printing as a business. So I got that going on.
Nice.
I got a 3D printer 2 months ago now that I've been.
Hell yeah.
It is a wildly different skill set that I'm used to using because like I'm having to like figure out how to do like 3D modeling and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
it's something new though. It keeps you motivated.
yeah, so it's a whole thing. So we'll see how that goes. But
Yeah.
yeah, just keeping things fresh and constantly like working to like improve your skill set and keeping up with like trends and things like that is paramount to like maintaining success on
Yeah, for
in
sure.
anything, let alone like as like a social media person, content creator.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Like I said, I wish I could do more with like my YouTube channel and things like that, but it it doesn't make sense for me like career wise to do that because the
Yeah, for
money's not
sure.
there, and I'd rather be stable financially than have a steady growth of viewers that I'm not making money from. Obviously, I worded that wrong. It makes it seem like I just want money from these people, but you get what I'm saying. I'd
Yeah.
rather be comfortable in life than know that people are watching me fail.
Exactly.
So,
All right, we should wrap this up. I
yeah,
gotta get going.
thank you so much for coming on, man. Where can everyone go to check out all your stuff?
YouTube is the Boystick. You can search that up, and I'll pop up black and white picture of me sitting there with a cigarette in my mouth. Honestly Lazy podcast on Instagram. Twitter is the Boystick channel, and yeah, go check all those out. You can see. Oh, and my TikTok is Boystick clips too. If you want to check that out, I post just reels and shit from there. But yeah, if you want to follow me on all those, that's where you can see up to date. Instagram is where you'll see my new videos right when they're released.
Awesome. Yeah, and links will be in the description. Go check out deadjustproductions.live. Links to all of our stuff on there. We have social media stuff or any sort of content creation help you need, marketing help, whatever. Let me know. I can reach out, get in touch with you guys. You can send me an email directly on there. It comes directly through to me. Happy to work with people, do like some consultative calls or whatever you guys need to get things started. Totally free. So check it out. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Had a fun time chatting.
Yeah, it was awesome, buddy.
Awesome. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time. Peace.